Bitcoin's price is looking very interesting right now, having pushed back above 71,000. So there's two forces at play right now. And of course, we have the geopolitical tensions. We need to fully understand the updates from those so we can try and figure out what we want to do with our trades. That's what we're going to be discussing in today's video, looking at Bitcoin's price action. So we can see right now 71,300, and it is looking quite nice, I'll be honest. Now, I don't want to be sounding too bullish with my big crazy hair right now, but what I want to do is I do want to share with you that things are looking strong, right? In this geopolitical uncertainty, the one asset that has actually held up strong in all of this, apart from oil, of course, but that's kind of crazy volatile, is Bitcoin, right? We didn't see a crazy sell-off in what a lot of people would call, and I think we can all agree, was a black swan event. Now, we are also seeing the S&P 500 have somewhat of a bounce, even though yesterday it didn't close in green, it actually closed in red. We saw Amazon also close in red. We saw NASDAQ close in red. And actually, later on in this video, I want to share with you an opportunity that I think a lot of people are potentially missing, or most likely will miss. So in a market environment where everyone's bearish, I'm actually in a long position right now. So right now, I have just under 3 Bitcoin long on 10x. I have about $16,000 used in this trade. I started with about $30,000, but I closed half the trade. You can see I entered here and we bounced up. So I entered at the lower region of this bear flag. Now, even though it's a bear flag, it still shows me opportunity because, as we know, if we study how Bitcoin moves, even in the first year of, the bear market or the start of the next cycle, we still see these pushes to the downside and then big bounces to the upside. We see it here, we see it here, we see it here, we see it here, we see it here. You see that? So my thesis is, even in the downward momentum of a bear market, I can make these long trades, these swing bounce trades. That's exactly what I've done here. And the way I'm looking at the trade right now, as it sits, of course, we're above 71,000. Since we pushed up here, I closed out by DCAing out 3 Bitcoin of this trade, which was half the trade. And then a little bit more after that. And now what I'm doing, my thesis is I'm just going to wait. Because we have this black swan event that didn't affect Bitcoin in the way a lot of people thought, which was downward action. It actually elevated the price. I actually think right now we could be on for at least a shorter term boom, a shorter term push to the upside. And if we take a look at my other Bitcoin chart, you'll see the 200-day MA. This is that purple line. Now that purple line today sits at about $91,000. So according again to the history, I always like to basically consult history when I'm trying to figure out what might happen next. As you know, of course, if you were here in this in the bear market of going out of 21 and into 22, we came down about 50% move from the high to the low, right? And then we moved from that very low point to the 200 MA, a 40% move, and we got sharply rejected there. So if we consider maybe the same thing might happen, because so far, the same time, the same moves, the same percent moves even have been happening, right? We right now, from the high to the low, have had a percent move of 52%, very similar to what we just discussed. And then the 200-day MA sits today at about 52% higher. But if we think, okay, well, maybe exactly the same thing happens, and a 40% move to the upside would put us at about 84,000. So right now, in this strong time, we see at 84,000 is about the top of my resistance zone that I have drawn here. This resistance zone is 80,000 to 84,000 because it coincides with previous supports. So that's what I'm looking at, right? We have two confluences there. We have two things that coincide together saying, okay, well, that's where we might see this price rise from where we are now at 71 to maybe around 80, 84. And that would give me another 20% move in price, which with 3 Bitcoin, of course, 3 Bitcoin is valued at just under $200,000. So a 20% move, and that is another $40,000 I can potentially make in profit here. And guys, it's essentially risk-free right now because I took half the trade and I'll close it at about break even. I might take a little bit more of a risk if we come down to the lower region of the bear flag to see if there's a wick and then a bounce. Take a little bit there, maybe take a shave of 5K off the profit or something. But right now, I'm in a relatively strong position. And again, this isn't to brag, this is just to show you what I'm doing in the market and how I'm playing it. And I'll catch you in the next one.